Hello, fellow Muppet fans, and welcome to Movin' Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we watch the Muppets Take Manhattan 2 minutes at a time and talk about it a lot. I'm your host, Ryan Rowe.
I'm your other host, Anthony Strand.
And this week we have a very special guest indeed. We are talking to a puppeteer who actually worked as a Muppet performer on this very movie that we're talking about. Guest, please introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, my name's Tim DeHaas, and I was a Muppet performer on the Muppets Take Manhattan.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So before we get into the two specific minutes that we'll be talking about, I guess we should talk a little bit about how you came to work on the Muppets Take Manhattan.
I had developed an interest in puppetry while I was in high school, and I'd been doing everything from shows behind my couch to churches to nursing homes to things like that. And I was a big fan of the Muppet Show at the time.
Sure.
You know, that was required viewing in my house.
Right.
And there was just some point when I was watching it, and I thought to myself, I can do that. And I just got it in my head that I wanted to be a Muppeteer.
Were you aware of the fact that like the Muppet Show was in London, Sesame Street was in New York, that kind of thing?
Yes, I think I was at that point. And so the first thing that I had to figure out was, how do I make contact with these people?
Right.
And so we didn't have the internet back then. So I was at the, I lived in a college town. So I was up at the library, and I was looking through all sorts of books that mentioned Muppets or were about Jim Henson. And so I was writing down names of like publishing houses and things like that. And I think I had a list of about 6 or 7 different points of contact that I was planning on writing letters to. And I'm sitting there at the table in the library, and I'm staring ahead of me, and it dawns on me what I'm looking at in front of me. And that is, I wonder how many people remember these phone directories.
Sure.
And this being a college library, there were white pages and yellow pages for every major city in the U.S. And so I'm looking at those, and I'm thinking to myself, why not? So I took out the New York white pages, and I looked up. At that time they were called Henson Associates.
Right.
And I got the phone number, and I just cold called them.
Oh wow.
And I said, I want to work for you. What do I do? And they were very nice. They said, well, you need to send us a videotape of your work. I thought, okay. So I rented the TV studio up at the university for a day. It was $80. And I wrote a script, and I made some puppets, and I designed some skits, and I made it was probably about 10 minutes, and and it was about 4 silly skits. And I remember one was this puppet that's going around with an umbrella, and it's raining marshmallows. And he looked up, and he sees all the marshmallows coming down, and then the umbrella comes down and blocks the screen, and then the umbrella comes up again, and you see that the puppet's eyeballs have been replaced with marshmallows. And he looks around, and then he realizes at some point that his eyes have turned into marshmallows, and he panics and he runs off the screen.
That does sound kind of like one of those old weird Muppet variety show sketches.
Yeah. So I put it together. I got it edited together, and I sent it in. And then I'm trying to remember how this went. I think I combined a couple of things into one trip. I flew down to New York shortly after, and in my inn was the fact that Caroll Spinney had been a babysitter for friends of my parents.
No kidding.
And Caroll Spinney, of course, did Big Bird.
Yeah, that is a great way to to get your foot in the door.
Isn't it, though? And somehow that got me on a visit to the Sesame Street set, where I met Caroll, and he was so nice and so gracious, showing me around.
Sure.
And then I somehow managed to talk myself into the Muppet headquarters, and I met.
Were they in that townhouse at the time, like the big house on
117 East 69th Street?
Yeah, right. That's awesome. The one. Cool.
Oh yeah. Some numbers you just never forget.
Right.
Sure.
And I met Ed Christie, who was like the coordinator of the Muppet workshop, and he gave me a tour of the whole place. And
how old were you at this time, roughly?
I was 82. I was a sophomore in college.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So pretty young.
And at that point, I had also been contemplating maybe doing changing majors to puppetry. Now, I was at the University of Maine, and UConn had a puppetry major that was run by Frank Ballard, who was very well known in puppetry circles at that point. And I remember going to UConn and getting a tour of the program and watching the show that they were doing at the time, which was Babes in Toyland. And one of their students at the time was David Rudman.
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, wow. Kidding.
Yes.
Which that must have been right before he started working with the Muppets.
Yes, because he ended up working on the Muppet movie as well, on the Muppets Take Manhattan too.
Yeah,
that was what I was thinking about at the time. And meanwhile, Ed sat down with me and looked at my tape. We watched the tape in a conference room, and he critiqued it. He said my lip syncing was very good, and he had some very nice things to say. I mean, they couldn't have been nicer people.
That's great.
So gracious.
That's lovely to hear.
That's what you want to hear.
Yes. Yeah. And then I still have my rejection letter.
Oh.
So about 2 or 3 months later, I got the rejection letter.
Yeah, who signed that rejection letter?
Marianne Horstmeyer.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that name.
No.
But I also still have Ed Christie's business card.
Oh, nice. That's in really good condition.
It is amazing the thing. I am extremely ADD, and I am not the most organized person, but it is amazing the things that I have managed to keep relatively intact over the years. And no, it was a very nice letter, and I just, we're not basically, we like what we see, but we don't have any openings. We're not holding any auditions at the time, so We're just going to keep it on file. And I thought that would be it. And so I basically forgot about it it was almost a year. And in April of '83, I got out of the blue, I got a letter saying, "Hey, we're having auditions, and we want you to come." And I flew down to New York again. They held them at someplace that was in Times Square, as I recall.
Just like a rehearsal studio, maybe?
Yeah, it was like one of those big studios where one of the walls is all mirrors.
Sure.
And okay, the audition was on a Saturday, and that was a very simple audition where they just kind of watched you go through, some basic moves and stuff like that, and then said, "Yeah, we'd like you to come back on Monday for a second audition." And that one was held by Jane Henson, Jim's wife.
Oh,
wow!
And we did a series of exercises, standing in front of the mirror, doing the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the audition, they had us divide into groups of 6 people, and we practiced lip syncing to a recording of Home on the Range. And then each group took turns doing a performance. And I knew that I was in good shape here because they made, I think, 4 or 5 groups of 6. They assigned people to groups, and then everybody else formed their own groups. And I was one of the people that they assigned to a group.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, this is good. This
bodes well, yeah.
Yes. And so we did our performance, and they thanked us. They said they'll get in touch. And I flew back home. And I think it was about 4 or 5 weeks later, because it was during finals week. And I was majoring in engineering physics at the time, which was the hardest major on campus.
I bet.
And I remember distinctly I had 3 exams that day, where you're only supposed to have 2, but I had optics, electricity and magnetism 2, and differential geometry.
Wow.
And it was, my brain was mush at the end of it.
I imagine so, yeah. Yes.
And I got home and I walked in the door looking blasted, and I said, I don't want to talk about it. My mom looks at me with a smile and says, you had a phone call.
Ah.
And that was the callback for the second audition.
Wow.
And so I got to go down again. And this time it was conducted by Frank Oz. And they had us do more exercises. And they had us do some improv, where he did a character and you were a character applying for a job.
Opposite Frank.
Frank.
Doing a scene with him.
Wow. That's got to be intimidating.
Yeah.
Oh, as a matter of fact, it was.
I can imagine.
And, the weird thing was, I think of all places I saw this, if it wasn't on 60 Minutes, it was on the nightly news. They had just done this segment about this man whose job was to test the accuracy of bathroom scales. And so you had a conveyor belt with bathroom scales on it, and he would, one at a time as they would go by, he'd step on and check his weight and step off. So I riffed on that as the job that my character was auditioning for. And,
nice.
I was...
Well, it's very specific. Like, they say specific is good in comedy, so...
Yeah. And I did okay, but I didn't feel like I did that great. And then, the funny thing was, we were doing this, and in the middle of this, the door to the studio crashes open, and this guy with a hat slung low over his face comes marching into the studio doing a Groucho Marx walk, marches right up to Frank, lifts up his hat. It's Elliot Gould.
Whoa.
And, we're all sort of standing there trying to act cool, but, we're like, wow, it's Elliot Gould.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, look at this. Yeah. And so he and Frank clearly knew each other. And as you know, he did a cameo.
He's in the movie, yeah.
In the movie.
Right,
so they clearly knew each other from that. And it's just one of those things. And so the audition ended. I flew back home and I waited, I don't know, a couple more weeks, and I was getting impatient. And I didn't know how long I was supposed to give them before I expected to hear from them.
And as far as you knew that
I was new to this.
Right, and you knew that this was specifically that they were working on a new movie at this point, right?
I think I did.
Yeah.
I think I did, yeah.
Okay.
And so finally, someone said, yeah, we want to use you. We want you to work for us. And I thought, great. Yeah. And I jumped in a plane and I flew down and I showed up on the set the next day. And that's not how it works. They have these things called call sheets. And if your name's not on the call sheet, you're not supposed to show up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I showed up, and they were very nice about it. And I stayed in the background. And I remember the scene was where they were auditioning for Dabney Coleman.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sure.
Right. And Gates McFadden was the secretary.
Yeah.
So she went by Cheryl McFadden. Yeah, I remember she was there. And I remember, this is so funny. I remember, and you need to go back and see if you see this, because I don't think that they fixed this. But as I'm watching the scene, right, and Dabney Coleman says, I think I smell something here. And then everybody turns to Ralph, and he says, why does everybody always blame dogs?
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. And if you look in the far corner, you'll see David Rudman's hair.
Oh.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, we'll have to go back and look.
You know, we watched that 2-minute clip, several weeks ago. I don't think any of us noticed that you could see that.
And I saw that, and I went up to someone, one of the production assistants, and I said, when they were filming this, you could see David's head. And he just looked at me like, who the blank are you?
Yeah.
I was like, oh. Like, okay, I really am new to this.
Whoops.
So nobody noticed. They didn't do anything about it. Huh. And I've always looked at that and it's like, yep, they should have listened to me.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and look for that. So eventually then you did get called for your performing days.
I ended up moving to New York for the summer. I stayed with some friends of the family in Scarsdale, rented a room. And then, I'd either get a phone call, or if I was doing the next day, I'd get a call sheet. I ended up working a total of about 18 days.
Okay.
Wow.
Almost 3 weeks.
And you mentioned that one of your earlier days you had a pretty memorable assignment near, very close to Jim Henson.
Well, this was the very first scene I shot.
Oh wow!
Very first. So there's a room with the craft service off to the side where you hang out, while you're waiting to be called. And they called my name. I'm like, okay. And I go out to the set, and the set was the producer's office that you see right at the beginning of the musical number, You Can't Take No for an Answer.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire set was built on a platform about 4 feet off the ground, 4 feet off the floor. And then where the Muppeteers worked, you could take out segments that were, I'd say about 4 by 6 feet. You could take out segments of the stage, and then the Muppeteers would work in there. And then because everybody's at different heights, you have them working. You have the short ones standing on these things they called apples, which were like wooden boxes, mm-hmm. and other, the taller ones stood on the floor. But I didn't do that because of what I was doing. I was working Kermit the Frog with Jim Henson.
Wow.
That's a heck of a thing to be doing on your first day.
That is an amazing thing to try to keep your composure about as your debut as a Muppeteer. And the way that it worked was that Kermit was playing the banjo, and Jim was working Kermit's body and his strumming hand. And then I was pulling a string on the body of the banjo itself. And as I pulled the string up and down, his fingering hand went up and down the neck of the banjo. And they rehearsed a choreographed set of moves with me, which didn't really work when I looked at the finished product, because I think the hand stuck, but it did move. But I was lying on the actual platform itself, and then I was reaching over with my hand to pull the string while they did this. And so I think we shot a couple of takes, and they needed to take a break to adjust the lighting or whatever. And the platform itself was just filthy, absolutely filthy. And so, someone came over and said, "Hey, do you want us to sweep this up? We can do that for you." And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm fine. I was absolutely terrified that if I got up and I moved off to the side, I would never get to go back.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And there was no way on God's good earth that you were going to drag me away from being Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's understandable.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Were you trying to match the way a person's hand would really move on a real banjo, or did you not quite have to worry about that?
Well, no, they choreographed the whole thing for me.
Okay.
They told me what they wanted me to do.
Go this way, then this way, then yeah.
Down, down, and then back up.
Yeah.
Or, it was something like that.
Yeah. Well, it looks great.
Oh, that was all choreographed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is all amazing. So, and you're also in the minutes that we're talking about today, which is minutes 77 and 78 of the Muppets Take Manhattan, in which the frogs try a new place for lunch and Kermit plays a familiar tune on water glasses.
Yes.
So these minutes pick up with the gang in the booth at Pete's. They're very sad because Kermit is missing. Fozzie just last week said that the show must go on, and now he says Kermit would want it that way, and everybody shakes their heads sadly and says yeah, which is this has to be the saddest ever take on the show must go on. Because they're saying it, but none of them really want the show to go on.
Their hearts are in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess Tim, you're in this group shot in the booth?
Well, it's interesting. It depends on the point of view.
Oh, okay.
When they walk in initially and you see them walk past the group, I'm doing Janice.
Okay.
When the frogs are walking past to get
when the frogs are walking past. When you're seeing the group from that point of view, I'm doing Janice. Okay. But when at the end of that clip, when you see everybody peeking over the top of the bench, I'm not doing Janice.
Okay.
Somebody else is doing Janice. Because I ended up doing something just seconds later.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting that the puppets change hands so much just in a single scene like that.
Yeah.
But, so then, we do cut to outside where the frogs from Mad Av Advertising are walking by. Bill compliments Jill on her presentation. She says it was thanks to Phil's flowchart. They walk right past Pete's Luncheonette, and Gil suggests... Yes. Gil suggests trying it as a new place for lunch. This is such a coincidence. This is really, it's so lucky that they happen to be in this neighborhood walking by this restaurant, or this movie would have had a much sadder ending.
Right.
Isn't that such a coincidence though?
Yes.
It's remarkable. Yeah, out of all the nondescript diners in Manhattan.
Right.
They chose Pete's Luncheonette.
Yeah, but they've never been there before, so they want to try something new. And I also wanted to mention, we talked in previous episodes about how the fact that the frogs the other three frogs all sound like Kermit, and what a funny concept that is. I don't think I mentioned that when our friend Joe Hennis and I interviewed Kathy Mullen for the Tough Pigs website, we asked her about that. We asked her if they were instructed to do an impression of Kermit the Frog, and she said, we all did impressions of Kermit the Frog. They didn't tell us. We said, let's all do Kermit, okay? So we did it, and everybody laughed, so we kept it. So they all just kind of decided that that's how frogs talk, and it came out.
It's funny. It works.
It's hilarious, yeah. And they all do the thing, which happens a lot in the scene, which was...
although...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, although I do always think when Bill the Frog says, now this time I'll take the Bill Gill, that always sounds like Boober to me. Like, for whatever reason, the rest of the time it sounds like Dave doing a Kermit impression, but he just like tips it a little, it's like a little throatier, so it sounds like Boober, I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of the Muppet voices sound similar to other Muppet voices anyway. So.
Well, it's like the first time I heard Yoda, I thought, oh my God, they're doing Grover.
Yeah, right. like a
Grover's
very
on the
old
Swamp
Grover.
Planet.
Yeah. There's a spillover there.
Yeah, I hear people compare Yoda to Piggy sometimes too. So as they're entering the restaurant, they all do the thing, which I guess was sort of like something that Jim Henson did when someone would ask him a question that he wasn't sure what his opinion was. He would go so the camera lingers on Kermit as he comes into Pete's and looks around, which like we're sort of waiting maybe when we're watching this for the first time to see if he recognizes the place, but there's nothing. He just walks right in and walks right past the booth full of his sad friends, and everybody is looking down so they don't see him.
Another remarkable coincidence that nobody's looking up.
Just ratcheting up the tension at that point. I feel like this is gags like this are very frustrating for kids, and there are a lot of gags like this in kids' entertainment. It's like in An American Tail when Fievel is separated from his family, and he has a few close calls, like he's right around the corner from them, but they don't run into each other. And of course, on Sesame Street, all the times when Snuffy had those close calls where he almost met Big Bird's friends and then didn't.
Yes.
And for kids, it's just like, they're right there. They're right there. But
you gotta look.
Yeah. Just endlessly frustrated.
Well, they don't draw it out though. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, they didn't spend a lot of time making you wonder if they were going to hook up.
Yeah.
Right. Although I will say, watching it 2 minutes at a time, the fact that this clip cuts off just before Gonzo sees him, like it felt like it was because I don't know, watching the 2 minutes, I don't know exactly how far we're gonna get.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, are they gonna see him? And then they didn't.
It does. Yeah, prolong the suspense.
And it cuts off right before the funniest improv and blooper that I saw when I was filming.
Oh, well, yeah, we're still going to want to hear that when we get to it. Yeah, when we get to the end of this clip. So, yeah,
that's a teaser.
Hold that thought. So, yeah,
it's when they stay in character after the scene cuts that you see some really outrageous.
Oh yeah, that's it. Like you talk to actors, like celebrities who have been in Muppet productions, they talk about that all the time. How they just stay in character all the time. Yeah. So as Anthony mentioned, Bill says, "This time I'll take the Bill, Gil." Gil says, "Oh good, something from the grill, Jill." And Jill says, "No, meat makes me ill, Gil." And then they all go, It's so silly, but hilarious.
It makes me laugh every single time. Like it's so, like you say, it's so dumb, but it's perfect.
Yeah, it's the next step of them all having rhyming names. Like it's just taking it one step further into ridiculousness.
Right.
I will note that this bit was not in the March 7th, 1983 draft of the screenplay. In that draft, instead, it's just Bill says the soup looks good, and then there's another frog named Will who says he's going to have the fish cakes. Now, fish cakes are pretty funny, but they're not as funny as something from the grill, Jill. So this was a good change.
Yeah, you've got rhyming.
Yeah. Yeah. Rhyming is funnier than fish cakes. You heard it here first, folks.
So you got. I think that's
got to be an advertising slogan. Remember this: rhyming is better than fish cakes.
Yes, absolutely. So Scooter says that they better go to the theater, and that's about the time when Kermit/Phil starts absentmindedly clinking water glasses on the table with his spoon. My first question here is why they just sat down. Why are there half empty water glasses on their table already? Or I guess if I were an optimist, I would say they were half full.
But my guess is that the table hadn't been busted yet.
Right, because Jenny is just sitting in a booth.
And they seated themselves.
That's true.
They didn't wait. Yeah. They didn't wait to be seated.
Right. So Jenny and Piggy are the waiters, and they're so sad that they can't be bothered to bust the tables. They're stuffed into a booth with 11 of their friends. Yeah, something like that. I did not count, but yeah. So all right.
Well, actually, Tim, that's a question I was wondering. So there's I think 10 Muppets in that booth. How many puppeteers are down there during those shots?
Oh man. Mm-hmm. It gets crowded.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Oh yeah. I mean, there was
because there's a couple of live hand characters too.
For that scene, I think it was one person per Muppet.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have someone doing two. I did Bunsen and Beaker in a scene, which has yet to come up. I got to do Bunsen and Beaker
in the
at
same
the same
shot.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So that's during the performance, I assume? Like that's kind of all they're in the movie.
That's when you've got everybody backstage right after Kermit has regained his memory.
Mm.
Sure.
And he says, "We're going to put on the show," and everybody gets excited.
Right.
And I was very happy. I was so excited to do Beaker, one of my favorites. And I got to do the Beaker double take. You have to look for the Beaker double take.
Oh, okay. That's
awesome. Well, so Bunsen's a live hand character. Does he just have one of his hands pinned to his chest or something? I mean, if you're doing Bunsen,
we were so crowded together.
I suppose, yeah. His hands are just laying.
That basically it was only head and shoulders that you were seeing.
Sure, right. That makes sense.
Yeah,
there's so many Muppets back there.
Oh, when under the very hot, and I know between takes when we were all crammed in there, a PA would come by with ski wipes that you could cool off with.
Huh.
And boy, oh boy,
wow,
those were appreciated.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, especially when you're just stuck there for the whole however many takes you have to do.
And your performance is above you, but you are looking downward. You're looking in the opposite direction at the TV monitor.
Right.
And the hardest part, once you do it for a few seconds and it clicks, then it's fine. But at first, it gets very disorienting to turn the puppet's head in one direction, but have it turn in the opposite direction when you're looking at the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they get used to that. I don't. Yeah, if you perfected that, that's extremely impressive.
But I had the benefit at that point. Was it 83? I had spent a year, I think, at that point doing local television, and I had been using a monitor as part of my as part of the performance. So I had a lot of experience doing that.
So you were doing the same Muppet style thing where you would have it was backwards to you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that must have given you a real advantage.
So I was used to it at that point, fortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. That was lucky. So Kermit is tapping these glasses, which that's actually another interesting puppetry thing going on there, because normally we can see Kermit's arm rods on the ends of his hands, and we don't here, but he's wearing a suit, so I assume that he has like some form of arm rod or armature just like sticking through the arm of his suit to help him tap those glasses.
I'm sure he does.
Something like that. So he's, as he taps these glasses, a melody starts to take shape. And it's together again, which I assume.
What a coincidence!
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I love, is that it's like
they happen to be the right notes.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
And also makes me wonder: was Jeff Moss instructed to write a song that could be easily replicated by filling up glasses of water?
It's just a matter of getting the levels of the water just right.
Yes.
A little trial and error.
Yeah.
But
so actually, I'm going to play this for you guys just by holding up my phone to the microphone. But the other night, my wife and frequent podcast guest Stacy and I tried to recreate this by filling up some pint glasses and a measuring cup. I think we came pretty close. For the listeners at home, I will just like cut the actual audio in, but I think it came out pretty close. Let me see if you can hear this.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so it can be done.
That's funny.
And if anyone out there wants to try it, I encourage you to try that and send me the results.
Well, and I actually really love that the third time Kermit does it, or Phil does it in the movie, he hits a discordant note kind of on the third one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which like
he hits it a little bit wrong.
He hits it a little bit wrong, which like gives it a touch of realism, and I'm glad they left it in. I don't know why. It's always amused me,
Yeah.
It makes it feel like it's just happening rather than like, a plan.
It's more organic. Yeah. So over in the other booth, Dr. Teeth overhears it and starts to absentmindedly hum along with it.
Right.
And I like that you can kind of see the realization gradually dawn on everyone's faces in that booth full of Muppets. I think Jenny is actually the first of them to figure it out, and then like Ronnie and then all the other Muppets figure it out. And then eventually Fozzie is going together again, and that's when they all, they sort of perk up and can it be? And they all look over the side of the booth at the next booth. So as you're saying, Tim, that's when there was like some of the puppets got swapped around to different performers for that.
Well,
show.
When the camera angle changed to looking upward at the group looking over the top of the booth, I know that I had been switched out for someone else doing Janice, which was fine because I ended up doing Scooter at the end of that scene.
Oh,
okay. So yeah, they look and they see is Gil and Bill.
Yes.
Gil and Bill glance up at all these strangers staring at them. They don't seem that alarmed. They just seem kind of like, oh, that's interesting that all these people are staring at us. And then the Muppets just shake their heads and sink back into the booth. And that is where this clip ends. So as far as we know, right now, as we mentioned, that they're never going to find it, they're never going to see Kermit. It's going to be a very sad ending to this movie. They're going to have to put the show on without him. That's the end. But that's not what's going to happen because there's more to the movie that we're going to see next week. So Tim, I am very curious to hear about this outtake that you were mentioning.
Okay. Right afterwards, when Gonzo says, "No, it's Kermit," and then Piggy comes running over and she goes, "Kermit!" and she jumps on him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. And that's supposed to be cut into the scene. Well, the first time they did it, she jumps on him. She goes, "Kermit!" and jumps on him. And then Gonzo comes running into the shot. He goes, "Piggy!" and he jumps on top of Piggy.
Awesome.
And Piggy shrieks, the expletives fly. I think that was the first time I heard a Muppet swear.
Sure, yeah.
And, she has a command of the language she does.
I'm sure.
Oh, man. And then the next time they did the take, Piggy comes running in. She goes, Kermit, jumps on top of Kermit. And then she immediately whips her head up, whips it around, and stares daggers at Gonzo, who just casually saunters on by. Like, I wasn't going to do anything.
Wow. Yeah. And that was Dave Goelz doing Gonzo, I assume?
Oh, yes.
Sure.
I remember the day that we were sitting around and Dave Goelz, I think as Gonzo, announced that he was going to drive Frank Oz insane. And then he proceeded. I don't remember what he did, but he proceeded to do it.
It worked.
It worked. That's so funny.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. I love that.
Yeah, it sounds like obviously a lot of work, but definitely a lot of fun, too.
Yes.
Especially with those guys. Wow. So I guess any other final thoughts on... let's say any final thoughts on this clip, Anthony? I'll start with you this time.
I love that one of the first things we see in these minutes is a Manhattan Melodies poster hanging up at Pete's, which last week we were talking about how the advertising budget for Manhattan Melodies is out of control, getting the posters on taxi cabs and stuff. I love that they're also just hanging up a poster at Pete's, like as though it's like a community billboard or something. You know what I mean?
Hey, they want all their customers to know about their show.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, it's free advertising space. So then, Tim, any final thoughts about this clip or any other like memories or stories you might want to share?
Well, as the scene continues, you see the whole gang swarm Kermit against the wall, and as everybody comes in, I was Scooter, and I was closest to the camera, and so Scooter was in the back of the crowd, and this was a very difficult bit to do because Scooter's eyes are his glasses,
right?
But you're looking at Scooter from behind, which you rarely do.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
And so the first time that we rehearsed it, I remember that when the other frogs said something and the group turned their heads to look at the frogs, that I just turned Scooter's head straight to the side, and that was bad because it drew attention to Scooter's glasses.
Sure.
Huh.
And so Frank worked with me to have me, and the interesting thing is that I think I see humans do this too when they're acting, is that instead of turning your head, just rotate it to the side like that, is that you angle it and tilt it slightly as you're doing so. So it's a much more subtle move. So it shows that you're turning to pay attention, but I guess the thinking was that it wasn't so dramatic that it drew attention to him as he was doing it. And it turned out for such a small little motion like that, it ended up being a lot of work to do.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that people watching the movie would never in a million years even think about, but they probably would notice it if they suddenly became aware of Scooter's eyeballs being on his glasses.
Yes.
So, wow. Yeah, that's really interesting. And were you in the wedding scene at the end of the movie also?
When you see the wedding veils, I'm the one in the middle in the bridal shop.
Oh, okay.
With the wedding veils that go up and down. Somebody's getting married. I was the center wedding veil. That scene that scene took over 35 takes.
Whoa.
To do. I was sitting on this metal scaffolding, and I remember I was wearing sneakers, and my right foot was next to a spotlight, and that thing was hot.
Ooh.
These spotlights get so hot. I remember, and during the same scene, I remember I was watching. Somebody had made this little miniature hot air balloon out of a latex balloon, 4 pieces of string, and one of those little paper cups that you put ketchup in at a fast food place. And it had gotten stuck in a rafter somewhere, and I would just watch it periodically. It would rise up, and then it would cool off, and it would settle right back down, and then it'd heat up and expand and go up and then down. And it kept my mind off the fact that my foot was expanding so much in the heat that I thought it was going to burst through my sneaker. So I asked one of the techies, if I could move the spotlight, if I could move the spotlight over a little bit, and he just looked at me with his stone face and he said, "Union." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's a union thing." So I suffered for my craft for that scene.
Yeah, clearly. Wow. And why did it take 35 takes? Was it just the choreography?
I don't know if it was the lighting or if it was the choreography or what. I just remember my foot swelling up like a balloon.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds painful. But at least when you watch the movie, you get to point out to people like, "Oh yeah, I'm that Vale."
Oh, it's fun. Say, I was in the Muppet movie. Oh, what did you do? Oh, dogs, frogs, pigs, chickens, wedding veils, top hats, lettuce, asparagus.
Yeah.
Kermit's right arm.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a line for the wedding song at the end, and there was a whole pew of fruits and vegetables, and I was the asparagus at the end.
Wow.
And so the line was let us wish them joy and hope. It's a shame they can't elope.
Oh yeah, you know what? That is actually it is. That's in the comic book adaptation.
Oh really?
But it's not in the movie. Yeah.
Oh, we filmed it.
Wow.
That's so interesting.
Oh,
I wonder why they decided to cut it from the movie though.
I don't know.
It's such a quick, funny joke.
Right. And the other thing was that the end of the movie was supposed to be. Oh, I've got so many stories. But the end of the movie, we were actually going to go to LA for a week, and the end was going to be Kermit and Piggy flying off into the sunset in their convertible.
Oh wow.
I was so psyched, like I was going to get to fly to LA and spend a week in LA filming this, but I think they ran out of budget, which is why you ended up with what you did.
Yeah, it is kind of a quick ending after the actual wedding.
They were going to get into a convertible, and they were going to fly off into the sunset.
Yeah, I get like a reference to Grease, I guess. Yeah. Presumably that would be intentional.
Yeah. The actor that performed the wedding ceremony, Dr. Cyril Jenkins, he was an ordained Presbyterian minister. He was the minister at Broadway Presbyterian Church, 104th and Broadway. So they really got married.
So they're legally married.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, then the question is: did Jim Henson and Frank Oz get married? If it was all real, yeah. So you mentioned dogs. Are you in the kennel scene with Ralph as one of those dogs?
I was the bloodhound.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, I was the bloodhound.
So that's actually something we were wondering about when all of the dogs start making fun of Snookums.
Yes.
After James Coco leaves, was that all just improvised? Were you guys all just?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, we were just, when Richard Hunt said, "You're a squishy bottom," we were just laughing so hard.
Sure.
Yeah, that definitely sounds ad-libbed.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Aw, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad to hear it, of course, and I'm not surprised.
Right, yeah, we as fans.
It was also fun wrangling the doves at the very end.
No kidding.
They just threw all the doves out and they landed wherever. If you look very carefully on Rizzo's nose, one of them is sitting on Rizzo's nose while he's hopping up and down. It doesn't move. It just sits there and bobs up and down.
Oh, that's funny.
But when the scene ended, we had to go and scoop up all the doves.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we were.
That seems
we were
like
also
that
dove
should be
wranglers.
a union thing.
Yeah, that's wild.
Huh? Yeah, you should have gotten another credit for that.
I know. Oh, I was just so psyched the first time I saw my name in the credits. When
I guess
they had the premiere at Lincoln Center. At one of the
nice.
And when we sat down for it, Caroll Spinney ended up sitting in the seat right behind me.
Huh.
So we talked briefly, and I told him how I thanked him again for being such a gracious host for me on the Sesame Street set. And so we watched the movie, and I remember that in what you see in the theaters, my name flashed in the credits, but in the version that they showed at the premiere, everything rolled scroll. And when my name scrolled by, Caroll Spinney leaned forward and he squeezed my shoulder. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so awesome.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, he was such a sweetie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, what an amazing
moment. And I actually got to thank him 30 years later when they did the documentary, I Am Big Bird.
Sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the patrons for it. I donated.
Oh yeah.
And as a result,
nice.
I got invited to the premiere when they had a premiere in DC. And Caroll was there. And I got to introduce myself to him and just tell him, how much I appreciated, his kindness. And he didn't remember me at that point. I mean, that was 30 years later.
Okay.
But he was a very sweet man.
Oh yeah. I mean, everything you ever hear about that guy is that he was just the sweetest, most gracious guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that must have been great. So yeah, you already answered one of our two concluding questions that we ask our guests, which is, do you remember the first time you saw it? I assume the first time you saw it in its entirety was at the premiere.
Yes.
Yeah, so that would have been a thrill. Were there any of the celebrity cameo guest stars there at that? Do you remember?
To be honest, I don't. I know the Muppeteers were there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just amazing that I was sitting there with Caroll. I mean, that was all I was really focused.
Yeah, that's exciting enough. Yeah. Right. Actually, was he on set is he playing Big Bird at the wedding or
no? Here's the thing. Big Bird was initially not going to be in that shot. It was the two-headed monster.
No kidding.
And I was going to be the two-headed monster.
Both of them?
Oh wow.
Both
heads?
Both heads. I have a photo of me holding them over my head, just going like this.
That's great.
But they pulled me out, and they put another person in, and they replaced me with Big Bird.
Oh, okay, but it wasn't Caroll.
But it wasn't Caroll. No, it was like somebody at my level of
somebody else.
Yeah,
sure.
It wasn't even one of the regulars.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Wow.
Huh, yeah, that's interesting. So the other question then that we like to ask is, how do you rank the Muppets Take Manhattan alongside the other Muppet movies? I assume it has a special place in your heart because of your experience with it.
I rank it right up. I haven't seen all of them, but I rank it up at the top, except maybe in a tie with the Muppet movie. I was not a great fan of the Great Muppet Caper.
Okay.
I haven't had too many opportunities to see it, but I just remember the first time that I saw it, and I don't know, it didn't feel like a Muppet movie the way that the first one did.
Yeah.
When I went to see. but you know, I'm kind of partial. And I'll be honest, I was also kind of upset with Muppets Most Wanted for recycling our song.
Together Again.
Oh, Together Again.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. That it is a little bit anticlimactic that they end with that.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Just I don't know. It just to me it felt wrong.
Yeah, and they also do that super cheap looking green screen effect where everybody's stuck to the wall.
Oh yeah,
in that scene. Yeah, it is definitely not a great ending for that movie. But yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah, so I guess if there's nothing else, we can wrap things up for this episode. Everyone, please make sure you check out toughpigs.com on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and all those things. Our logo is by Morgan Davy. Our theme music is by Stacey Rosen. If you have any thoughts on this episode, these minutes or future minutes, please send us an email at movinrightalong@toughpigs.com. You can find me on Twitter at @MeRyanRowe. Anthony is not on Twitter, but he's on Letterboxd. Remind me again, it's at Zeppo Marxist on Letterboxd.
At Zeppo Marxist, indeed.
To read Anthony's opinions on movies. And listeners, if you don't mind, please give us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you can give us a review. And please tell all of your friends about the show. And join us again next week for another episode of Moving Right Along. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hi-ho.